Hey everybody, welcome to the Big Llama Show. I'm the Big Llama. I'm going to do a review for the Masters of the Universe Part 1, the controversial Netflix show that has every He-Man fan either loving it or hating it. I'm going to give you an honest review and give you my thoughts. I just finished watching the 5 episodes that they released, and I have some interesting thoughts on it. Let's check it out.
It's SINA She ruckus. Dead beat. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You ain't a killer, boy, stop. I hear you yelling stacks on deck.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Big Llama Show. I'm the Big Llama. Once again, we're doing a Masters of the Universe Revelation review for Part 1, the Netflix series. I've just watched all 5 episodes, got some thoughts on it. But before we get to those thoughts, make sure you like and subscribe. When you hit that subscribe button, you become a member of the Llama Nation. That means my videos will be posted more on your feed. And hit that bell notification so you know when we post videos. Alright, let's get right into the review. Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 1. It's on Netflix. The first 5 episodes have been released as a Part 1 series. And it's a sequel to the Filmation classic cartoon of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The Masters of the Universe Revelation, though, from a He-Man superfan, Kevin Smith. It's a bona fide blast and a lot of twists and turns. It's made for people who love the show and love the nostalgia of the 80s cartoon, but it definitely has a modern twist and does flip the story on its head. All right. Let's talk about the controversy. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding Kevin Smith's release of this. First of all, this is going to be an honest assessment of this show. I love Kevin Smith. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, and I'm a huge He-Man fan. So I do have some bias there. But I really went into this with open eyes. And unfortunately, there were some parts that were spoiled for me because there was so much hate. I had to see what it was about. And yeah, I had a couple of parts of the show spoiled. But that's okay. Now, this is going to be a spoiler review, so we're going to talk about spoilers. So if you have not watched the show, please stop now, come back after you watch the show. All right, you've been warned. We're going to talk about spoilers. First of all, let's talk about the big complaint, the thing that people are crying about on the internet, the bait and switch, that this is Teela's show versus He-Man's show. And guess what? They're right. It is Teela's story right now from this perspective, but He-Man looms large in the background. So I don't want to hear that they did a bait and switch and, well, no, He-Man. He-Man is prominently featured in the first episode, and then he comes back towards the 5th episode, 4th and 5th episodes. So he is part of it, and he does loom large in the story. I get what people are saying, and I get the fact that people are upset that He-Man is not prominently featured. But if you really think about the He-Man character and Skeletor and their ongoing battle, it is something that is played out and old. Now, what I would have liked in this series is if they would have then maybe given us a little bit more backstory of how we ended up where we are, maybe plotting and understanding how Skeletor knows about the secrets of Castle Grayskull. That would have made for a little bit better. So that could have been some development there, maybe another episode or two that they could have dove into how Skeletor knows these secrets. Because if you really pick it up from the last episode of the original series, you're not sure how Skeletor knows all these things. In fact, Skeletor just wants to take over Castle Grayskull, and there is a secret in Castle Grayskull that is unlocked during the first episode, and this starts the story for us. It starts to move the story along. So again, that to me could have been developed a little bit better. Needless to say, you jump into episode 1 and it is nothing but pure nostalgia. It is nothing but the characters you saw. You see different characters. Obviously, they're animated a little bit differently, but the look and the feel is there. Beastman is there, and Skeletor, and He-Man, and Teela, and Man-at-Arms. Duncan Man-at-Arms is there, and there's just a number of things that make you feel giddy about your childhood. And so, going into the first episode, again, I was very, very surprised. He-Man is prominently featured. He has a huge action sequence with Skeletor. But by the end of the first episode, which this is the part that people were upset about, He-Man's gone. He-Man sacrifices himself for the good of of Eternia, and it takes his life. He gives himself up and dies the hero's death. And now it is left to Tila to move this along. And we do see that the sword was split in half, and so there goes the story. So the big secret in here is, how do you make an old story like He-Man vs. Skeletor new and relevant and interesting for people to watch? Now, again, I will say the internet hate on this particular series is so polarizing and so big, but it doesn't need to be that way. If you watch these episodes like I did, if you sit down and you watch the series from beginning to end, the first part, you will see that there is character development. There is an opening for more to happen and a possibility that He-Man could come back in some shape or form. Even though, again, spoiler alert, at the end of the last episode, the big twist is that Prince Adam comes back. And when Prince Adam comes back, he dies right away. And so there's a plot twist there. Now, I think that was a little bit cheap, but at the same time, there is so much magic and so much lore to explore. Who knows what could happen? We don't even know if he really died. We just know that he was stabbed, and it's perceived that he is dead. We could come back at the part 2, and it could be Masters of the Universe reincarnation or resuscitation. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But that's the thing. People think that, oh, it's over. Prince Adam is gone, and so He-Man is gone. I don't know if that's true. A lot of things happened. In the beginning, Skeletor was gone with He-Man. Skeletor and He-Man both met their end in the first episodes. And in episode 5, Skeletor came back. Prince Adam came back. And so again, there you have some great story. And yes, it was Tila's mission, Tila's development, and Tila's character who they're focused on. But that's okay. We've seen the Skeletor and He-Man, combination and fighting through 100 and something episodes. So why not go a different direction? I like the fact that they used Evil Lyn and Beastman to join up sort of as enemies that have to join up for a common good. That's a great story because you get more backstory to these particular characters. The one character I'm a little sad about was Orko. I know Orko, I was excited to see what he would do, but they gave him a great, glorious ending because Orko was the screw-up. He was the comedic relief, gave him the ability to redeem himself, show his true worth, and in the end sacrificed himself for the greater good of the mission. And that was, to me, a very touching moment, and I enjoyed it. I didn't like that he was gone, but at the same time, Orko was not my favorite character from the series. I just thought he was a cute character who always did something, and he was always bumbling. So once again, that's something that, it's polarizing for a lot of people. All right, let's talk about the voice talents. Mark Hamill is Skeletor, and to me, Mark Hamill has a hard time removing the Joker tones, or the tones that he had as the Joker, from his performance. And so those of you who have watched other Mark Hamill performances or enjoyed that he did the Joker in other series will get that same exact feel. I couldn't shake the fact that it did sound like the Joker, but still not a bad choice. Again, Mark Hamill is the greatest that's ever done it. And I think again, just those of that who watched the Joker or him as the Joker in other incarnations will have a hard time sort of separating his performance, but that's okay. You also have Lena Headley, who was in Game of Thrones, Cersei from Game of Thrones. She was a great Evelyn, and she brings gravitas to that voice. I think you have He-Man was good. I forgot the actor's name who played him. Oh, Chris Wood was He-Man, and he did a really good job there. I liked his voice. The one person I have issue with, and the one area that I didn't really like, was Sarah Michelle Gellar's interpretation of Tila. I think her voice is, and I have nothing against her as an actress or as a voice actor. I just think it was a little bit whiny, a little bit not with the gruff that it needed for the Tila character to be believable. And so I was stuck on her voice being very annoying, but her story was great, so I did get past it, but I just didn't think that was a good choice. But again, that's my opinion alone. Again, nothing against Sarah Michelle Gellar, just didn't think that was the right choice for her to be in the character. Now, you have Liam Cunningham, who was from Game of Thrones as Man-at-Arms, as Duncan, and that was a great choice because his voice is just iconic, and it brings that levity, that regalness to it that it needed. So I was very excited about that. You have Stephen Root as Cringer. He's been in Barry. He was in Office Space. Cringer could have been a little different, but Cringer's such a minor character in this series. Yeah, it wasn't a really big deal. Dietrich Bader as Trapjaw was pretty interesting. I always liked Dietrich Bader. He's a good character actor, but he never stuck out as anything. Orko was Orko, and it was cute. It was fine, but Griffin Newman played him, and that was okay. I think you have Henry Rollins. I'm just looking at here. Henry Rollins was Triclops, which was pretty interesting. But the one thing I did like, and this was my favorite, was Justin Long. And I know Justin Long is a good friend of Kevin Smith. He's been in a lot of projects for him, but as Roboto. And that to me was one of those surprise characters that you didn't want to get attached to, and you probably didn't know much about him. And in this series, they sort of fully flush him out, and he had a really good role in this. And so I was very, very surprised by that, and I think did a great job. So to me, that's the voice work was excellent, top-notch cast. Just one issue that I had, and that was it. All right. Overall, I would rate the series so far between a B- and a C+. You know what? We're going to go B-. It was entertaining. It did have the value that I thought it would have. It had the nostalgia factor. Kevin Smith took a big swing, and he didn't miss. He didn't hit it out of the park, but he didn't miss. The problem again is story in terms of what people were expecting, and also this is partly the problem with the production or the marketing department is they did prominently feature He-Man in a lot of the adverts and the trailers, and everything that you saw leading up to it was He-Man on the cover. And so I think it would have been a great idea to sort of talk about or see how He-Man transitions to Teela, or Teela becomes an integral part of the story, but not hide it. I think that was the mistake made. But overall, B-. I think it was a great show. I am excited for the next series, the part 2. But again, I can see where fans were split. So again, do I agree with the fans that this was a terrible show and that there's certainly things that can be worked on. There's certainly things that could have been fixed. But at the same time, I was entertained. I liked the story. And even though it was spoiled for me a couple of times with some of the character deaths and things like that, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I learned more about Eternia, Preternia, all these different places I didn't know about. I learned more about Castle Grayskull, and that's what this show was supposed to do, and it did it, and it did it well. Now, again, were there things that could have been a little bit better? Of course. No show is perfect, I think, but for the nostalgia factor, for getting people back into the mythology of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, this was great. So I'll end it on that. I think this show was great. I don't agree with the internet hate that comes to it. Now again, here's one thing I will say. If you're mad that it's a female lead in a show and you think it's part of an agenda, you got a problem. I'm just going to say that you've got a problem. If you're mad that it's not He-Man as part of the show, absolutely. I can totally see where you're coming from that. But if you get mad because they have a female character, you think it's part of the woke agenda, then that's you just got issues. Like, enjoy it for what it is. It's a kid's cartoon. It's a show. It has more adult-oriented themes this time around, but still a show you can watch with your kids. And it is a cartoon. It is not real life. So please, stop all the internet hate. Stop being so mad and posting all this stuff. And listen, whether you agree with Kevin Smith or not, he put out a pretty entertaining piece of material out there. I enjoyed it. If you don't enjoy it, that's fine. If you disagree with my review, I understand. We're agree to disagree. How's that? All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me here on the Big Llama Show. If you like this review, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, become a member of the Llama Nation. And when you do, again, my videos will appear more and more in your feeds. Hit that bell notification so you know when we post videos. Once again, I'm the Big Llama. This is the Big Llama Show. Peace out.
Yeah, I tell her, baby, you're the one for me. Never two unless you telling me you feel it too.